I've promoted it before. I've foretold of its coming. Tonight is the night. Today is the day. It's Comic Court on the channel of Mr. Super Oz. But before we get to Comic Court, let's talk about my 68-page graphic novel, Everlasting Survivors, all day long. Available now at Etsy.com in limited supplies. This is the Jeff Hicks cover. This is the Nick Crook cover. These covers will never be printed again. I have 2 new covers that will come to the relaunch on Indiegogo. Everlasting Survivors, put out by Gamble Comics. And let's roll that beautiful open and see what happens at Comic Court. I've talked about it plenty, but we're doing it for the first time. It's Comic Court. I'm going to make a case, Brandon's going to make a case, and Josiah, he's going to decide who wins in the this first iteration of Mr. Super Oz Comic Court. The case we're making today is for the DC Extended Universe and who should helm the world going forward, or in my case, scrap it and start fresh. Would you like to start us out, since this was your idea, good sir?
Yeah. So my let's just say my argument is Zack Snyder should continue on making his DC universe. Why? Because one is very creative. I like the liberties he's taking with the characters. Now, how he started out might not have been the best, but now that we finally see where it was going and what he was trying and planning on doing, I think that it would be great for just DC in general to separate itself from Marvel and what they're doing and things like that.
Is that everything?
For right now.
Okay. So the people, and I do say people because it's 2 people, I think should helm DC going forward are 2 people that have guided DC Comics universe, but in a different place and successfully, I might add, for years. Those 2 folks are Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. I have a list of their accomplishments, if you will. It's 27 deep, and I believe at least 14 of those 27 are rated by either audiences or critics at 94% approval or above. And personally, I think that that the team together showed over the long haul that they could create a consistent, cohesive universe that made sense in multiple ways, whether it's in a solo character's television outing in the first iteration of Batman the Animated Series, or in the team dynamic with Justice League Unlimited, going to the future, keeping the continuity there with Batman Beyond, having a whole different tone with Superman the Animated Universe, which stayed within the continuity, but looked at things from a whole different perspective. I just think that they are a proven commodity. So, and it wasn't just the TV series that I mentioned. They had success with Batman and the Mask of the Phantasm. Not one of the tops, but both critics and audiences agreed it was within the 85 to 88 percentile range of approvals. So B plus. Other films, Batman Sub-Zero, which was an early iteration of films, but even they've done more modern films that have not gotten great scores, like Batman and Harley Quinn. Thought that was the worst of their outings, but some would say that the current DC Extended Universe has had maybe more misses than hits. So
I mean, can I interject?
Oh, absolutely.
So to me, all that sounds good.
Yeah.
Because they are proven.
Yeah.
And I like their work. But my two issues with them is perhaps that there are a relic in the old time, like back in the 90s and early 2000s. So maybe the way that they envision the characters might not work today or might not be the best. And two, we kind of already seen it before because we already know what they are going to do because we have the animated series. So it's like we would get stuff that's more the same, good, but I mean, there's no like pizzazz to it. There's no Martha where people laughed at, and they will remember
because
that
was totally the intent, right? The laughter was the intent.
Yes, it was the intent.
You love lying. Here's why you're on Zack Snyder's side, because you're retconning the intent. Was it always Zack Snyder's intent to say, oh well, the reason we had multiple 9/11s in our first Superman film, our first outing, is so that Bruce Wayne's building can be one of the ones that he's running to go help.
Oh people? Yeah, absolutely. But you see, he listens to the fans. What everybody says, like, hey, you should listen to the fans, and he does, and he makes said corrections. Do you think Bruce, Timm, Paul Dini, since they already know, like, hey, I'm set in my ways, that they would even listen?
Do you think that there's a reason for them to listen when they're delivering what you want to begin with? Here's what I hear you telling me, sir. Man, that pizza order was so bad. It was absolutely the wrong thing to order. But as soon as I called up Domino's, Pizza Hut, Jets, wherever, and said, you sent me the wrong thing, they said, don't worry, pal, I got you. I'm not giving you what you ordered, but I'm gonna give you something else, and you'll end up liking it. Because that's what I hear from the Zack Snyder argument, is that I didn't change what I gave you originally. It was still bad and not what you wanted. But here's something else, and it'll kind of make up for it.
Okay.
That was all.
Oh.
As far as the whole, he listens, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it still doesn't change the fact that Clark is doubting himself, that his dad even doubts him. That's something that you can't undo that. And they never do undo it. Whereas people who understand the characters to begin with don't ever make the mistake that has to be, all right, let's get that smudge off the... You can't really see it now, right? It's still there, but you can't see the smudge. All right, we're going to move on and pretend like everything's okay.
I see your argument, but all I'm hearing is that they're safe. And I don't care about safe.
I love safe. Do you know why?
Why do you love safe?
Because I've read safe, and by safe, what safe means to me is good, quality, and accurate.
I think boring. Boring and
hold on. There's no point in being disingenuous. Do you actually believe that the Timmverse is boring?
No.
Okay. There's no point in being disingenuous.
Go on. Yeah, go
because
on.
I will grant you the point that you made, which is that he does go through, Zack Snyder that is, and say, okay, they have these problems, I will, level it out. But I just don't think it solves the overall problem, which is you shouldn't have made the thing, and you shouldn't have done the error to be sanded off or painted over or retconned to begin with. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. So I will grant that Zack Snyder does pretty work, visually speaking.
Oh, visual, okay.
Yeah. So visually speaking, things are good to look at. But personally, I don't care if something looks good if it's corrupt from the inside or from the foundation. Like a house, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't have a good foundation, if it's pretty but it's going to fall down, that's kind of an issue because it won't last very long. It won't have that staying power. Whereas I think that these people with the safe pair of hands, and honestly, I'm only using them as placeholders. Anybody, had Dwayne McDuffie not died, he could have easily have helmed the universe. It doesn't have to be Bruce, Timm, and Paul Dini. It just has to be people who understand, appreciate, and work within the confines of what is.
See, but it's the word appreciate that I think that I have a problem with. Because
Sure.
To me, Zack Snyder does appreciate these characters. We might have differences.
Whom?
Like,
yeah,
sorry.
Please elaborate as to who he appreciates, and by so I mean is a accurate reflection of said person.
Oh, okay. I think I understand what you're going.
So
I think,
I could make the argument that Alfred is pretty accurate to Alfred, right? Alfred is there to serve Master Wayne. He might have criticisms for him, but he's himself. He doesn't pull down his pants and take a dump on his bed. So
compared to the comic books, right? Like to whom does? Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm asking, because when I think of Jonathan Kent, I think of a man who does believe in his son. I don't think of a man who's scared for him to do what he's capable of, and so much so that he says, "Nah, just let me die, please." And secondarily, even if Jonathan would have that thought and say, "Oh, please, son, don't save me," I don't believe in a Clark Kent that would do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was getting at.
I get you. Now, to me, that all speaks to, this is where it's weird, because it's like, well, I'm going to say it's like, that's the dumbest thing ever, but let me explain. So to me, doesn't someone have the liberty to change or alter said character that we know? For instance, Superman. We always had Superman at one time as always a heroic person, things like that. Then years later, they make him a bad guy, or like Injustice style. So doesn't someone have the liberty to change said character?
Well, the beauty of Injustice to me is that it clearly illustrates it is not the known world. So I had a theory once that what is called Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice should I don't think it was even mine. I think I stole this from somebody, but the moment I heard it, I was like, that's a great idea. That it should be a quiet vehicle to change everything. So the moment that Superman dies, Batman looks at Wonder Woman and says, "We've got to change." And so he becomes Owlman, she becomes Superwoman, and it's like, dun dun dun. This was Earth 3 the whole time. He's actually Ultraman. Because you start with a place where things are so contradictory that it becomes hard to relate to whom they are. Now, maybe, because I don't know this person, but maybe this movie was made, those movies, I'm not saying just that one, but those 3 movies were made for people who aren't me, who've never read the history of the characters, or like what I'm pitching for the creative team, people who have animated or watched animated stuff. So maybe it was made for those people.
Well, I think to me that they were made for you, but that, especially now, this is just strictly Batman versus Superman. That the point of that one is, to me, what the world thinks of Superman rather than Superman himself as said character. Because when you rewatch it, it's all people's interpretations of said character instead of just Superman himself. Batman has a beef against Superman for reasons. I don't want to spoil.
Semi justifiable,
right? Lex Luthor, because godlike, the media. So that's the point of view.
I'll say for so you never actually answered my question, which was who is accurate. I'll say, other than the crazy hair, Lex's motivations are accurate in Zack Snyder's films, due to the idea of thinking Superman is the unattainable. But I also find it frustrating that why is it that you can get the bad guy right, but you can't get the good guy right?
But Superman saves people. Isn't that like the goodness of it? Like, isn't that
that is the most generic? Okay. Multiple 9/11s. Multiple 9/11s. And worse than that, it's on his introduction to the world. And again, what we're doing right now is I'm fighting against Zack Snyder, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to fight on behalf of Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. But it's just, But my point is,
yeah,
I do want to know your perspective. What do you feel like he did right? Because again, I feel like we're very much skirting the point. So what do you think that Zack Snyder did right that way that we can go from there?
Yeah. Okay. So what he did right was I liked his interpretation of Superman. That's to me is what he did right from the start with Superman. Batman, what he did right is honestly to most people was everything minus the killing, but he gave justifiable reasons on who Batman is, semi-origin story, and did things like that. His Wonder Woman, great. No one has a problem with Wonder Woman except for 1984.
That's not even him, I don't feel like.
Yeah, but that's not. But everybody liked the first Wonder Woman movie. And then finally, they kicked him off the Justice League movie. That was Josh Whedon's version. People didn't really like it that much. Finally, he got full creative control, and you saw where things were going. And hey, to your point, if you don't feel like Man of Steel got Superman right, you can't argue with the Superman and the Justice League Zack Snyder version.
But I can. And the reason being is it goes back to the foundational concept. If you start meeting a godlike character with nothing but destruction, with no redeeming qualities that you know of, what is to separate him from Zod? Now, you can say that, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but you can say that he saved people because they shot those scenes in Batman vs. Superman. And you can say that he did good stuff in Justice League, but the problem is that we already have the horrendous origin of the character. And I still don't understand how anything has changed because there's such a tight timeline to his introduction, his death, and then his resurrection. I don't. Could he have? Is he treated somewhat better in the Resurrection movie? Sure. However, he didn't have any legitimate time to grow as a character because of the tight timeline of introduction, death, resurrection. And so I can strongly say that I do believe he is done wrong because there's no time for anything to be done with him. And as far as Batman goes, I love the man. I loved the casting of Ben Affleck because he's freaking 50 years old. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'll get all these things that I want so badly. We can get Dick Grayson and Jason Todd and Tim Drake and Barbara Gordon and hell, even Damian Wayne. Got none of it. But again, it goes back to that whole tight timeline. Things within the current iteration of the DC Extended Universe are so minute. They're vast in the dark sideness of it, but as far as the actual time that has played out, explicitly for Zack Snyder, it's very, very tight. It's very nearly non-existent.
Well, I mean, so I'm gonna go just back just a little bit and talk about the multiple 9/11s.
Yes.
Because to me, even a lot of people do this. They talk about it. They're like, "Oh, that Superman is bad," but I think it's kind of like selective memory because I remember distinctly Superman versus Darkseid and Justice League Unlimited, the final episode. Superman was punching Darkseid, crashing him through buildings, destruction, and all that. So to me,
but it's not the introduction.
Wait. But to me, with Superman, because he's so powerful, his villains minus Lex Luthor, he's the one man out. It's only going to breed destruction because they're so powerful. They're not going to talk it out. They're just going to fight it out.
But my point isn't what he can do or what he does do. My point is it's the perception. So,
right, but isn't that the multiple, like, that's why I said that he is making it for you, because to me, you're just supposed to already know, like, hey, this Superman, because of prior things, correct?
He burnt all of these things. I don't know if Zack Snyder smokes, but whether he smokes with a lighter or he got a box of matches, he took all of these things and doused them with gasoline and set them on fire. He does not care about these things. I have multiple versions of Clark Kent's upbringing. I don't care if he's 12, 19, 21. I have his first introduction to Lois Lane, his first time going to Metropolis. I have so much time in Smallville, but he couldn't care less because he had to play Avatar in his own mind. And oh, this is Krypton. I'm sorry, pal, but my ghost dad is not where the story needs to be. It needs to be with Earth Dad. And Earth Dad wasn't even there for him. It's like, and yes, you can. Oh, back to my folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bruce, Timm, and Paul Dini do have the Justice League, not exclusively Superman, fight Darkseid and all of Apocalypse. But more importantly than that, they set up and let us, as the audience, see young Clark grow. They see young Superman experience things and get to a place of discovery, and he meets other aliens, and it's not even if. So I guess my basic point is his first introduction to the world, whether it's the audience, or the world that he lives within, is not I'm the same as them. And so that's the big separator that I feel like with the two worlds, is that it is the clear foundation. And as far as a Batman, not just Superman, but Batman, he has such a large pantheon of friends, comrades, like, and not even that, not just that, but even bad guys too. But there's so much depth to all of their. Now, granted, in Zack Snyder wasn't given television shows, which they were, but still, I'm sure if they wanted to right now, especially with HBO Max, they could be like, let's talk this out and figure it out. But the problem is you've already got pre-established with what they've done that I still think you just got to start all over. Even if you say, Zack Snyder, you make pretty pictures, you still got to start over. I have multiple visions in my mind of ways that you can start over, but I don't know how it can be salvaged without. That's it.
Oh,
what they've currently got, I don't see how you can salvage it and make it. You can't. You can't. It will never be what it should be, or what it could have been. I mean, as far as the right upbringing for everybody, even the wrong damn Robin's dead in the universe.
Yeah, that was for shock value.
But you say that the films were made for, I'm going to say us.
Yeah, comic book fans.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. Not me personally, but like people who understand the world. But when you, Zack Snyder, kill off Jimmy Olsen, when you say, Dick Grayson's the dead one, I literally, was it you? God, I can't remember if it was you, but I made an argument at work one day that without Dick Grayson, to be there for Bruce, I don't know if he could have made it through the loss of Jason. And because he was proof of success, he's like, yes, you had a bad experience, but what were you going to say?
Oh, actually, I was going to comment on that. Is one of the things, because when you talked about television shows, I think Zack Snyder doesn't work well in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, sure.
I think his films work 3 hours and a half plus. Okay. Now, that's a bad thing, or it could be a good thing. It kind of, because sometimes
I think in the modern age, there is no such thing as too much, because especially with streaming, whether you call it a show or a movie, who cares? If you can do it from the comfort of your home, pause, get a drink, go to the restroom, whatever. I think it's. I don't think the duration of time is the issue. I mean, I will say Zack Snyder's, what was it, 4 hours of Justice League? Was
4 hours.
Go ahead.
It was 4 hours and some change.
Yeah. Right, but it was far superior to Joss Whedon's whatever length it was.
2 hours. Nope.
Go ahead.
3 hours.
3 hours, okay. And I don't know if it was Whedon's decision or the studios or whatever. There were a lot of weird choices made
Right. Yeah.
in that whole thing. So, but my point is, two folks, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't just two. Just like it's not literally Zack Snyder, he had crew and crew and crew, crew, never ending. Just like they had crew, never ending. They're placeholders. They're figureheads more to some degree. Like, don't get me wrong, both teams have visions, but they had teams to help put out the visions. Not the Marvel one.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my thing, two folks, one team that understands, appreciates, and don't get me wrong, they took liberties too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the liberties they took, like making Brainiac the Google, if you will, of Krypton, and having it be the first planet that it destroyed so that it could have the knowledge of that world. I thought that was a fine change, because it gives more weight to Brainiac, the villain,
Mm-hmm.
Upon his return. So
Yeah.
I was okay with that, and it gave connection back to Clark's father. So I'm not saying you can't make changes, but there are just some things, and by that I mean Superman should have confidence in himself. Have you ever actually? I bought the book for you. Did you read Superman Earth One?
Yes. And it was very good.
So
really
J.
good.
Michael Straczynski wrote what I think Man of Steel should have been. It is a coming of age tale where Clark is so good at everything. He can play baseball like none other. He can run with the football. He's smart. He's academic. He has options, but he chooses to be a reporter because of how that it puts him in the place where he can make the most difference. And he has confidence in himself. He was raised well so that he's not I don't even know, reluctant, I guess, is what I would call Henry Cavill's character. But he's also not always reluctant. Like in the I don't know if it's just a dive or if it's an actual bar, but in the scene where he takes out the trucker who was bad to the waitress.
Yeah.
He wasn't shy at all about that. He was like, I know what I'm gonna do and I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's basically what I'm asking from him. But again, I don't blame Clark. I don't blame Henry Cavill. I blame two men. I blame Clark's two dads. And by that, I don't mean Jor-El and Jonathan. I mean Zack and Jonathan. Because it's Zack Snyder's vision of what Jonathan Kent should feel that guides Clark Kent in the wrong direction.
Mm.
Whereas my two dads, Bruce, Timm, and Paul Dini, wouldn't do that to my boy Clark.
You're gonna kick out of saying
Crack my What are you saying, Josiah?
getting a kick out of saying my two dads, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was clever.
Well, the two dads is okay, but one dad is perfectly fine with the mother, Zack Snyder's wife, going through the home, just pushing forward their own vision and doing things, a new and inventive way.
Did you happen to see what critics or audience thought of your creator, or you think that's not really important?
Oh, like for Zack Snyder's movies
Uh-huh.
and stuff. Yeah, they've all ranked low.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
and like I said, 14 of my 28 ranked really, really high, like A+ films.
Yeah, but
A's
some
and
of
A+.
that is kind of because we didn't really have the internet necessarily back then. So
So you're saying it's based on nostalgia?
Yeah, like nostalgia, like Space Jam is now rated like 80%, when back in the day when it was first watched was like 20%, 30%. Like reviews were like 1 star, 2 star, but now people like
Really?
4 stars. Yeah, because of nostalgia.
Surprising.
Yeah, because of nostalgia.
Like even just in the moment, I would have thought.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a good movie.
Like
but,
personally,
yeah,
I watched it as I don't know, whatever age I was when it came out. Like I never thought it was 5-star classic, but I'm not a basketball fan. But I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. That's 3 stars to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Like it wasn't trash, and it was above passable. So I gave it a fine.
Yeah, like I love Power Rangers. I can watch the '90s Power Rangers all day, and I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 because I know. But it's like because of my kid.
It is a struggle for me to watch that. I've watched multiple episodes where I'm just like, how dumb was I?
Hey, we were kids.
But I don't feel that way about Bruce, Timm, and Paul Dini. I can watch those things and I don't question my intelligence. As a matter of fact, I'm like, man, you guys actually put some stuff up in there that
they got creative.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't use death, so they couldn't have killing or death, so they used Joker's laughing gas to like. So they were very creative on ways to get around said issues or problems.
Oh, for sure. I was just saying that like not everything from the past is trash is all I was getting at. Because like there's another animated show that I loved as a kid and I really wanted the toys, but they were crazy more expensive than normal toys. Called Sharks. They were like 8 inches tall. They had a lot of bulk.
Diesel was in the commercial.
but I tried watching that as an adult. I'm like, oh my goodness, I was retarded. I mean, not intelligent. I don't know what was wrong with me. How did I like this? Every episode's the exact same thing.
Hey. And we still get interpretations. That's like my main criticism with Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, because we have the Batman Arkham games. That's basically in the same world as, because they have the same voice actors.
I think Alan Burnett actually writes that. He was another part of the team.
But what I mean is the same, their concepts like of characters, the voice actors.
Yeah.
Starting off.
What I would call characterizations is what you're saying. They carry on that tradition, but I don't find that to be a flaw, because if something is not broken, and by that I mean having a moral compass, if having a moral compass is good and you have it, why don't we keep that? Why don't we use that, as I keep saying, foundation? The end. I don't find that to be a flaw, is all I was getting at.
Okay.
I find that to actually be a good testament to quality.
I just mean, hey, as an artist creating something, you can take, to me, liberties. Either they work or they don't. Like Guardians of the Galaxy in the MCU. It's not like the Guardians in the comic books, but nobody knew that. But
I knew.
Well, and I did too. but
I see your hand over there, Josiah.
But they took liberties. People didn't know about it. They love it, and now we get what we have.
I think there's a difference, and as much as I like the Guardians, and the films. So there's some books I friggin' love, but the films, double thumbs up. But I don't mean to be mean to any of them, but they're nothing compared to Superman and Batman.
Well, especially like in longevity.
That's what I mean. Is like, and more than, or just as much as longevity, I mean like pop cultural relevance is what I was looking for. I almost said reference. Relevance, because I've heard it said that you can have the Coca-Cola bottle, the Superman logo, and one other thing. I forget what it is off the top of my head, but no matter where you go on the planet, people know what those things are. And to me, that's important. And when something has such ingrained value, don't corrupt it. That was all.
Okay.
Not that anybody corrupted Guardians. I think that they were done quite well, and enjoyable, especially. But like, I just want Superman to be good. I just want to.
But they were finally. Nothing.
It's okay.
Go. That's my because we can go.
Exactly. We can go back in circles all night long. But I think it's time that we go to the judge of this conversation and see what he has to say, because you are here to decide, be the decider, and it is time. Yeah, go ahead. And just tell us your general thoughts, sir.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Bruce Timm and Paul Dini universe? Have you watched all of Zack Snyder's product?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, where are you at?
Got it. All right. So let me visualize my thoughts, because you guys have been going for 30 minutes. So that's a lot of knowledge to collect. I will say, I'm gonna go off my personal opinion. I've seen pretty much all the content you guys have looked over. So I've definitely seen the DCAU. I've seen Zack Snyder's stuff. And there's a lot of points you guys brought up that I really agreed with, and a lot of stuff that I didn't. And that's just as a person, not as a judge.
Yeah, you're the judge.
Exactly.
But
Lay it down.
definitely elements to both that I agree with. I think Oz made some very good points about how it would be easier to just start over with a new team of directors. Now, whether that be Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, I mean, could be, could also not be. There might be better people for the job, but I think that was the point he was trying to make.
For sure.
Understand Brandon's thoughts on Zack Snyder, especially because me personally, I was a big fan of his Snyder Cut Justice League. I thought by comparison,
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure. With whatever the hot mess Joss Whedon's Justice was a tremendous improvement. It was definitely a better vision overall. I could definitely see his argument about it. It would have gone in a better direction had it continued. So I'd get both points, and a lot of great logic on both of your guys' parts. And while I don't agree with all of it, I do kind of side with Oz. I think it would be better for
now that you've made your pick, I will tell everybody who's watching the truth. Over the weekend, or before we shot this, I was like, dude, I can make so many points for your side. And he said the same thing back.
Yeah, I actually do agree.
Yeah.
But I do like what Zack Snyder is doing, but it was just to make.
Oh, yeah, it's just for fun.
Yeah.
Fun content.
For sure. Listen, the reason I picked what I picked was because I think they need to start the universe over. It's really obvious that it went off the rails, especially towards the end there.
I have a man in mind for the job.
Honestly, that would probably be the smartest way to reset it.
Yeah.
So, Ed McGuinness and Jeff Loeb wrote a story in Superman Batman that when I started reading it, I was like, what is this? Nothing made sense. It was all just jumbled up mess. And then you flip the page and Mixie is playing a game of chess with the Joker. And I'm like, yes, this is the answer. No matter how messed up the universe is, all you have to do is have the imp from the fifth dimension playing with the psycho clown, and they can just change whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want. And I'm like, oh, I love that guy.
Much better than them doing it randomly like they already do. Yeah. Biggest problem with the Snyderverse, let's say hypothetically everything went fine, everything went perfectly, it was released the way he wanted it to originally. The problem with the original Justice League movie was they did the Justice League movie way too soon. Like none of the characters were established by the time that movie came out. I think Superman and Wonder Woman had a movie. Nope, that's not
with Batman thrown in there.
Nope.
But it wasn't his own film though.
Right, it wasn't. He still didn't make it.
Which I hate that. Like there was so much potential with that.
It was Superman, and then they did Batman v Superman, and then
Yes, sir.
Yep. That's it.
Yep. So that was the original problem with Justice League. They didn't plan it. I think Snyder's verse could have worked. Problems aside that Oz brought up, but I think the universe could have worked if it was planned out better and they established the characters better. Because
forget Suicide Squad.
That
came.
It did, but it was very loosely connected. Very loose.
But yeah.
And as far as Zack Snyder, I think that there is at least a chance that if we had every piece of his Man of Steel, we could probably manufacture it to where that I wouldn't dislike Clark so much, because he does do good things as Clark. I just need him to do like a handful of good things as Superman, so that when the bad shit happens, people know that he's the good guy.
Right, or not questioning himself every 30 seconds.
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
Having confidence. However, that being said, I also don't think Paul Dini translate to movies as well. Their movies, while good, I don't think them being 2-hour live action movies would hit as well as the animated.
Yeah, honestly, none of their animated films were ever as well received as their animated series because of that long time.
But yeah, like I like some of them, but yeah, like they for sure weren't the best. Like,
Right. Yeah. Well, and I agree with Brandon that long form is beneficial to storytelling just in general.
Especially comic books. I think that's why Marvel works so well, because it really is long form storytelling over time instead of just
and places too.
You're right, and places.
Because that again, I think that DC is too close together with all of Zack Snyder stuff. It's like introduction, death, resurrection. I'm like, what? So,
what were you gonna say, Josiah?
No, I was just definitely. But yeah, the animated shows were great because they were able to focus on them in these short bursts of storytelling moments. So I think episodic is a lot easier to tell than long form, but I think you can tell a more fulfilling and enriching story when you have those longer movie formats. But I don't think their particular brand of storytelling is suited to that. That's why I think it's a good idea to start over, but I don't think you would excel in that position.
Gotcha. Well, that's fine. Yeah. Like I said, I still wish Dwayne McDuffie was still alive. I love that guy. He was one of my favorite scenes that wasn't in All-Star Superman for All-Star Superman the animated film.
Yeah.
Where Martha and Clark are at Jonathan's grave, and that wasn't in the comic. It was something he wrote because it just felt right.
Yeah.
Again, that's where if you work within the foundation, I keep using that word, but if you work within the context of how people should be or are known to be, then it adds exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with to a degree. It's okay to take liberties, but I think still keeping the core context of who these characters are is important.
Yes.
And sometimes there were deviations from. I'm like, but Superman wouldn't do that. Batman wouldn't do that. It didn't feel real. So
right.
Yeah, definitely just like you said before, respecting who they are to some degree helps the fans digest it as well.
Well, I think that's something that that again Marvel has done spectacularly with keeping the consistency of perspective. So, whoever they choose, whether it's Zack Snyder or somebody else, I think they have to have that. If you just decide this is the Bible, this is the thing we are following no matter what, I think that'll help any universe that is going to be made, and especially DC.
For sure.
Well, it was a pleasure having both of you. Brandon, that was super fun.
Yep, always.
Josiah, thanks for judging. Oh, go ahead.
Watch the video, leave a comment on what you guys.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, exactly. That's a super great call. And if you know a fan of DC, whether it's the animated universe, the live action universe, share this video with them because there's no way for the channel to grow without your help.
Like that.
But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. This was super fun. We'll definitely do Comic Court again, and there's actually a film variation that is going to be coming in the future. I couldn't come up with a catchy name like Comic Court. That was Brandon. So I'm just calling it Making the Case, where the next time we have this dispute, I'll be making the case for a reboot of a film, and Brandon will be making the case for the original. Which already puts me at a disadvantage, but I'm up for the fight. I'm 1-0 so far.
Well,
so.
It goes against the very thing which you were saying here, right? Well, that's in the future.
It is. And the difference is that property doesn't have 75 years worth of lore. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, Josiah, thank you for judging. It was super fun. Brandon, thank you for fighting because that was great. Come back next week when I'm not telling you what we're doing in case it falls through, but if it works out, it's going to be super fun.
Yes.
I only say that because sometimes plans don't come together. Like this was originally going to be a Punisher fight, but the person who wanted to fight about Punisher couldn't make it. So videos can always change, but the ideas will remain. So come back next time. Watch the awesome video. Actually, if you're here for the first time, go back and watch all the old content.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are a little.
Yeah, we were beginning. But we're figuring out.
The things that are close to this one, good stuff.
Yep.
All right, bye.
All right, see ya.